Hello, everyone, and welcome to TeenSpeak 2021. My name is Elijah Slate, and I will be your host this evening. The purpose of TeenSpeak is to empower students to speak up and speak out. I was first introduced about a year and a half ago when I was asked to enter the contest for a project. I was able to perform deep introspection and evaluate my own personal story to share my strengths to leave with others. After giving my own talk about a year ago on a similar stage, I've been granted the opportunity to coach a new group of students and watch this new group share their stories and use their voices. TeenSpeak began as a dream between the directors of two local nonprofits, the Respect Team and the Brandon Foundation. The Respect Team encourages self-respect and respect of others through educational programs in our local middle schools and high schools, through empowering podcasts for parents and teens, through engaging with local organizations that serve as resources for teens and their families. The Brandon Foundation is a mentoring and tutoring program where students are shown the power and their potential while supporting them academically, socially, and in leadership. Their organization is rooted in faith that guides and develops young leaders to become world changers. At this time, I would like to invite Katie Smith, the director of the Brandon Foundation, and Amy Hanna, the director of the Respect Team, to come to the stage.
Wow, that was quite the cheer. Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm gonna pull this off here. Ooh, okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Amy Hanna, and I am the director of the Respect Team.
And I'm Katie Smith, and I'm the director of the Brandon Foundation.
And we are so grateful that you have come to this awesome event, not only to support these amazing students, but also to support our two organizations.
Absolutely. Want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for this evening, Chuck and Lisa Surek of Sweetwater Sound, Ambassador Enterprises, and Pizza Hut. Woo-hoo! Who doesn't like Pizza Hut?
We also want to thank our in-kind sponsors, WQHK, Max Chocolates, Lindsay Lou Cakes, Big B Coffee, Nothing Bundt Cakes, all those wonderful things you get to have at the dessert reception from this day forward as well.
And we'd like to thank each person who donated and dedicated their time and talent to helping each of our students, and that is our adult coaches. So they helped mentor and train our students from start to finish for the past few months, just teaching them how to be public speakers and how to speak up and speak out. And so those coaches are Ron Lewis, Melissa Hirsch, Sharon Tubbs, Jesus Rosario, Clinton Foppel, and Jennifer Kopecki.
Let's give them a round of applause. We also want to thank our student coaches. Each of these amazing students were speakers for TeenSpeak last year, and this year they have stepped into a leadership position to coach this year's TeenSpeak students. Elijah Slate, Stephen Daly, Elisha Brown, Emily Eschbach, Sabrina Dombrowski, and Maika Brown. Let's give them a round of applause too.
And we can't forget our fabulous photographer for the evening, Mr. Will Smith. Thank you for donating your time tonight.
Woohoo! Should we say that it's not the Will Smith? I mean, we're going to call him the Will Smith. Yeah. And we also want to thank our wonderful host this evening, Elijah Slate. Once again, we want to thank you so much for coming tonight, and we want to thank you for supporting our students and, of course, both of our organizations.
The theme of TeenSpeak is to share your story of strength. 16 students from 5 different counties submitted applications this year, and we want to personally commend these students for applying and stepping out of their comfort zone. That takes some serious courage, and we're proud of all of you. Tonight, 11 high school students and 5 middle school students will be presenting. These amazing students have been working very hard on their talks since January, and although they're nervous, they're also very excited. Before we begin with our first student of the night, I would like to walk you through some housekeeping rules. Please take out your cell phone. Please take a moment to silence your cell phone, and if you're not sure how to silence it, we ask that you turn it off until all the speakers are completely finished. This is very important because we don't want to distract from any of the students' stories. If you need to use the restroom for any reason, we ask that you wait until the speaker is completely finished. Please do not re-enter the performance center until the next speaker is completely finished. Please don't use any flash photography. We have professional photographers and videographers that are here tonight, and you'll have complete access to any pictures or videos of your child. The stories that you will hear today are amazing and powerful. However, we ask that you hold your applause or any verbal acknowledgments until after the speaker is completely finished. It has been said that the number one fear of most people is public speaking. However, public speaking is a trait that is needed and desired for leaders in our community. These young students are stepping up as leaders tonight and speaking up and speaking out with a level of confidence that most adults don't have. We're very proud of each and every one of you, and we know that you are too. Our first speaker this evening is Sarah Francis. Sarah is a freshman at Sullivan High School, and her story of strength is titled, Still I Rise.
Looking around at... Is my mic on? Okay, sorry. Looking around at the crowd, I see a lot of what looks to be ordinary people. Ordinary people with their own unique life experiences that have molded and shaped them into the people they are today. Ordinary people who have gone through difficult situations but still managed to rise above and overcome. Growing up, my life wasn't what most would consider normal. Until around the age of 11, I lived with someone who abused me mentally, physically, and emotionally. That person just so happened to be my biological father. My mom filed for divorce in November of 2015. Following this were appointments with multiple therapists, court hearings, and dealing with the trauma. Although I told many different counselors and the judge what happened to me, I was accused of lying and never felt like the majority of them truly believed me. There was one specific therapist who was among the group of those who did not believe my story. She would turn, look at me, and say, "Well, maybe you're just remembering things wrong." I remember the outrage and confusion that I felt in these moments like it was just yesterday. Aren't therapists supposed to be there to support you in whatever you're trying to work through, not tell you that you're wrong and that traumatic things didn't happen to you? The events and abuse I endured relating to my father were torturous and had a large impact on me in my life. I'm not just going to forget or remember things wrong. I knew that, in fact, I was speaking my truth. It wasn't going to allow her or anyone else to tell me what did and didn't happen to me, how to and not to feel. On one average summer day in June of 2018, I made the brave decision to contact the police due to a suspicion of my father driving under the influence of alcohol, resulting in his arrest, multiple charges, and a no-contact order that has prevented me from being forced to see him for over 2 years and counting. Being in that situation was the most terrifying thing that I have ever experienced. I was in survival mode, as I like to call the feeling and mentality that I had during most visits with my father, due to feeling unsafe the majority of the time. And I remember that my survival mode kicked into an extremely high gear that I had never experienced before that day. Although this event just added to the trauma that I have endured relating to my father, I also remember the sense of relief that I felt in this moment, as well as being extremely proud of myself for being able to overcome the fear so that I could free myself from that situation and the cycle of feeling unsafe and being emotionally abused. I used to be this shy little girl who was scared of the little things and wouldn't stand up for herself due to the consequences that it may bring. This little girl was fighting a lot of battles, both inside and at home, that nobody knew about. I am so proud to be able to say that I am not that same girl anymore and have grown and blossomed into a strong, independent, and driven young woman who isn't afraid to speak her mind. I made the decision that I wasn't going to let the trauma with my father hold me back and that I was going to become the absolute best version of myself that I can be. The issues that I faced with my father have taught me the importance of speaking up for yourself, others, and what you believe in. These setbacks taught me that in order to get my justice, I had to speak up for myself and speak my truth, even if I wasn't believed. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm not done. Although these experiences created a lot of wounds on my mental health and general well-being that I still battle with, they were also a part of the driving force that triggered the immense growth that I have experienced in the past few years. There was a period of time where I used to feel that my dad's actions were my fault. He would tell me that my grandparents didn't love me. I was the reason my parents fought, and so many other hurtful things that no child should ever be told. As children, we don't know any better, and we assume all the things our parents say to be true. As I got older, I realized that no matter what he said to me, what he did was wrong, and there was absolutely nobody but him to blame. What I experienced with my dad doesn't define who I am, and isn't a direct reflection of who I am as a person. I am not at fault for what I went through and all the trauma that I faced, and I refuse to let myself be reduced by these things. Our experiences don't define us. It's how we respond and overcome that matters the most. There have been too many times in my life where I have felt silenced, like my voice didn't matter. People just didn't care. However, I have learned that no matter how many people may try and silence and belittle you, someone will eventually hear you. You just have to keep speaking up and speaking out. It took a long time of me continuing to speak up and stand up for myself, for me to truly be seen and heard by some people that could actually make a difference in my situation. Speaking up for yourself and what you believe in is not a simple task, and it takes a lot of bravery, persistence, and dedication. If you truly want to see a difference in your life or the lives of others, you must take a stand and speak. Speak up for yourself, others, what you believe in. It doesn't matter what. If something bad is happening to you, speak up. If one of your friends is feeling suicidal, speak up. If you're passionate about a cause, such as providing support and care for children battling for their lives fighting cancer, speak up. Absolutely nothing about your situation will change if you continue to let yourself be silenced and fearful. Although we may look like ordinary people, we have all fought battles from time to time. Those struggles don't define us, and we are so much more than the difficult things that we have faced. My message that I want to impart with you as I leave this stage is to always stand up, speak your truth, and to rise above and overcome the battles that you face in life. I want to leave you with this excerpt from the poem Still I Rise, by MyAngel, which has not only inspired me, but will continue to inspire the future generations to come. It goes like this. You may shoot me with your word. You may cut me with your words. Oh, goodness, sorry. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Our second speaker this evening is Hallie Hudson. Hallie is a junior at Carroll High School, and her story of strength is titled Perfectly Broken.
We have all fallen victim to buying a broken lollipop. You know that feeling in the store when you have found the perfect lollipop and you can't wait to get home and eat it. But as soon as you peel the wrapper off and look closer, you see that the lollipop is broken all over. That is the current reality of the lives of many people in our society today. So many people attempt to hide behind a smile and convince their peers that their lives are perfect even though perfection doesn't exist. Our lives are just a lollipop waiting to be unwrapped and exposed so you don't have to lead a life of lies. Being a teenager in America is hard enough as it is, with all of the expectations that are held against us. But it's important to remember that nobody is perfect, and everyone is going through something that is drastically affecting their lives, whether they choose to admit it or not. My life is that lollipop. At a first glance, it's put together and perfect. But as you begin to look closer, you start to see the pieces and fragments that have fallen away. Now, saying that my life has not been easy is a major understatement, but the things that I have endured have helped build me into the person I am today. I'm going to be honest with you that when I was asked to share my story for TeenSpeak, I was very hesitant to share the struggles of my life. It wasn't until a dinner with my friends at Wings, etc., that I finally decided to share my story with others and show that you don't have to be afraid of the broken pieces in your life. My story starts in the 8th grade. I had finally found my group of friends. They were my rock, and we spent all of our free time together. They knew all of my family's history, and we were inseparable. A group of best friends who loved and supported each other. I told my friends everything, and so when a devastating family issue occurred, they were the first people I wanted to tell. My older sister, who I'd grown super close with, made the decision to pursue a toxic relationship. And because she was 18, she moved out and stopped all communication with our family. This devastated my life. I was consumed with anxiety that would never cease, and I began to fall into a depression. I started to get rid of any evidence of the life I lived when my sister was with us. I repainted and rearranged my room, dyed my hair, and focused all my attention on my grades. I was absolutely miserable. I felt betrayed and stressed because of all of the pressure I was putting on myself, and I would act like everything was fine. I would paint a smile on my face for my peers, but I knew that I needed help. During my 8th grade year, I cried myself to sleep almost every night. I spent countless hours in the guidance office, just overwhelmed with everything. The one thing I thought I had left was my friends, until I lost that too. In middle school, there are so many things that seem important to you, but in the long run, they won't matter. Now, I can say this with hindsight bias, but like any other teenage drama, me and my friends got into a huge fight over a petty situation. I was totally iced out of the friend group. Once again, I was being betrayed, and I lost trust and loyalty in almost everyone. Since then, I've always struggled with anxiety, relationships, and trust as a whole. As I went into high school, I didn't have that core group of friends that I was expecting. Luckily, with some time, I was able to find a group of friends who love and support me no matter what. They understand my issues with anxiety, and they love me anyways. It took me a long time to feel comfortable with my story and feel like I could share it with others. In fact, it wasn't until that dinner with my friends that I told them, some of my closest friends, the whole story of my downward spiral in middle school. Sitting at that table at Wings, etc., with some of my best friends, I was able to say that I would do it all over again, experience all that pain and loss, because it shaped me into the person I am today and helped to create the relationships that I cherish most. I no longer feel like I have to hide behind a smile and be ashamed of the broken pieces of my life. And no, I'm not perfect, but who is? I'm perfectly broken, and if we're being honest, we are all perfectly broken too. Thank you.
Thank you, Hallie. Our third speaker tonight is MyAngel Jordan. MyAngel is a 6th grader at Prince Chapman Middle School, and her story of strength is titled, Getting to Know My Dad.
Imagine half your life without knowing your dad. Well, that's what happened to me. As I was growing up, my real dad wasn't really in my life. He was kind of in and out sometimes. I was hurt and confused because I wanted to know who he was, but I didn't understand why he left and didn't want to get to know his daughter. My mom and a father figure helped me get through this. They helped me overcome this anxiety, and depression that I had. Having a father figure was good and all, but I wanted to know who my real dad was. It just didn't feel the same. About 4 years ago, I reunited with my dad. Being around him was uncomfortable at first, because I didn't know who he was or what he would do. But my mom pushed me and helped me get through this. She pushed me to go see him more and spend a lot of time with him. After a couple times seeing my dad, I started getting more comfortable around him and my other family members on that side. Having to get comfortable around my dad actually helped me get comfortable around people I don't know very well. I guess just talking to them is just normal. My dad being in my life makes me happy. Me and him are spending more time together, and we're doing a lot of things with each other. I have a lot of people supporting me on things I do on both sides. Having this big support system makes me feel like I can accomplish anything, even if it's hard. My dad is starting to get to know me and the things I do for fun. He loves I'm doing things that makes me happy. My dad helps me with things I go through a lot. He supports me and loves me very much. When I am with him, I'm also doing a lot of things. He helps me figure out how to take pictures, edit, and produce songs. I've noticed over the years we have a lot of things in common. We like the same music, we have the same facial expressions, and we also have the same favorite color. I don't see my dad that much, but when I do see him, we try to do as many things as we can in the little amount of time we have. I try to see my grandma a lot too. I want to build that relationship and get back those years I missed out on. Me and my dad are working on building a better relationship for the future, and one day I think we will. But here's what I want you to remember from my speech. Through these experiences, I learned that relationships are hard, but in the end, it's worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, MyAngel. Our next speaker this evening is Anna Dickerson. Anna is a freshman at Lakewood Park High School, and her story of strength is titled, "You're Not Going to Be Good Enough If God Isn't Good Enough for You."
Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing amazing tonight. I decided it's time to share my story. I haven't shared my story with anybody, but God has laid it on my heart to share it with you guys. Before I get into my story, I want to ask you a couple of questions. The first question is going to be, what do you put your worth in? And the next question, as a follow-up to that, is going to be, if whatever you put your worth in was gone, what would you do? Would you freak out? Maybe put your worth in something else? Well, I'm going to share with you what I did. There was a time where I became really obsessed with trying to find a bunch of friends. And let's just say I didn't find the best friends. And I took whatever they said to me and however they treated me as if it was my fault. I felt ashamed. I felt very guilty. I got to the point where I felt worthless. I felt like I wasn't ever going to be good enough for anybody. I got to my breaking point. I went to God. I was confused. I didn't understand. I didn't know what was happening. I said, you're putting friends in my life, and then I feel like you're just ripping them out. What am I doing wrong? And at that point, I just wanted somebody to be there, to tell me that it was going to be okay, to tell me that I don't have to be worried and I don't have to be broken anymore. Right then, not only did God tell me that everything was going to be okay, but he helped me believe it. He helped me live that out. And it's really hard to tell you what that experience was like, but I can tell you that God was with me, and he was there the whole time. Now, I started having this moment of realization. I was like, okay, so I'm putting my worth in something that can't always be trusted, something that is sinful, something that changes, instead of something that can totally be trusted, something that is perfect, and something that never changes, and that is God. And to be honest with you, it's such an honor to be a child of God. That's such a great thing to be. And then I started to think, you know what? I'm not going to listen to who they say I am. I'm going to listen to what God says I am. I mean, he made me. I'm not going to listen to somebody to say who I am if they didn't even make me. And so when I'm saying this, I don't want you to get the idea that once you have this moment of realization that you're going to be okay and that you won't feel like this again. But we're humans, and sometimes we have to learn, and sometimes it takes longer than others. And it takes practice, and you can relapse, and you can be in the same spot that you were again. So I know when I may be like that again, God is already going to be there. He's going to be in the future. And he's going to be reminding me of what my worth has been all along. And I'm going to tell you what that is. My worth has been, he says I'm precious to him. He says he loves me. He says that he will always want me. And you may not be a Christian here, and you may be a little confused of what I'm talking about. Be like, okay, so you believe in God, all right. What do I do? I want to ask you a couple questions. Have you ever felt maybe that you were too weak? Maybe you just couldn't do it anymore. You weren't strong enough to go on. That's okay. It's okay to feel like you're not strong enough, because sometimes we aren't. But who is strong enough is God, and he will strengthen us. I want to share a couple verses with you guys. Those are 2 Corinthians 12, 9, and 10. It says, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weaknesses. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weaknesses, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong.'" This is so powerful to me, because this reminds me that when I'm weak, I can be content. I can rest in God. I can be peaceful because I know he will strengthen me, and I know I can get through it with him there with me. And you know what? You may be thinking, well, I want to put my worth in something different. Like, what's the point? I want to put my worth in my friends or in my money. I got a lot of money. Guys, I want to put my worth in this. It all boils down to one thing. That one thing is your fulfillment. If you're spending your time putting your worth in something that is on this earth, it may change, it may go away, and you may freak out like I did. You don't want to put your worth in something that can go away. You want to put your worth in something that will never change, something that is perfect, something that is always going to be trustworthy. And, it's hard to live out this truth, and I understand that. And you also may be thinking, okay, you're telling me to put my worth in God. I don't know how. I don't know how to walk the life. I don't know how to do this. It's hard. I am broken, and I don't know how to rest in God. I'm going to share with you what I've learned. And to be honest with you, I still struggle with this. But what I've learned is when I was putting my worth in these friends, all my focus was on it. I was hyper-focusing on this. But once I started putting my focus in God, once I started putting him as my priority, my life changed. My chains were broken. I was free. And I don't know about you, but when I hear the word free, I really want that. And I really want freedom. I want that peace. And God can give that to you. I'm going to hit you with a hard truth. You heard this at the beginning. But that is, you're not going to be good enough if God isn't enough for you. Make God good enough for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Our next speaker this evening is Genesis Click. Genesis is a senior at East Noble High School, and his story of strength is titled, "Family Isn't Always Blood."
Let me start by asking you a question. Who is your family? Now, as you think about that, I will say this. Family, it isn't always the blood. It's the people who accept you for who you are. It's the people who want you in their life. It's the people who would do anything to see you smile. And it's the people who would love you. It's the people who would love you no matter what. My middle school career was cut short, and it ended halfway through 8th grade year. One of the worst years of my life. I thought it was living misery. I didn't want to be here. So why do I say that, you're probably asking? Well, let me tell you. You all know, 8th grade, big year, going to high school next year. Well, I didn't get that opportunity to finish it with my friends. I went from in-person learning to a dumb computer. Now, we're probably thinking, well, today, a lot of kids are doing it on a computer. I hated it. While that was going on, I had my own family problems and had been taken away from my parents multiple times and placed with my grandparents that year. So me not getting to be at school with my support groups was just wood added to the fire. The year went on, and I was just pushing myself never to give up, reminding myself every day that I'm not alone. Then came freshman year of high school. I hadn't been around any of my classmates for half a year, so I was nervous. I kept asking myself many questions like, am I going to get bullied? Are they not going to talk to me? How are they going to react when I come back? So, freshman year of high school, I began to get involved in numerous ways, but the biggest way was athletics. My advice for any student in here is to get involved. It will help you greatly. Athletics has been so great to me, and my freshman year, I began to manage. I managed volleyball in the fall, and I loved it. And I loved it so much that I had to find a winter sport to manage. So I chose boys basketball. And I'm sure you can guess what happened after that. I had to find a spring sport. And I chose softball. So while managing all three of these sports, I continued to have my family problems, and I just needed a family away from home. So I found that. It has been my high school athletic department. You're probably thinking, what? This kid, he's dumb. He calls his high school athletic department his family. Well, let me tell you. Yeah, I do. Now, let me ask you another question. Have you ever felt alone? I have. And that's when I found my family away from home. But guess what? You're not alone. There are so many people out there that want to hear you. That is another reason why I wanted a family away from home. You know, some people go to therapists, but I go to school on a daily basis. That's my therapist. Now, look where I am. I'm 18 years old, about to graduate high school. I've managed 3 sports a year while also helping our athletic trainer out for 2 years. I'm graduating with 14 varsity letters and in good grade standing. Plus, did I mention that I live with my grandparents and I practically raised myself? If you would have asked me 4 years ago if I would be where I am today, I would have told you, you're crazy. I probably would have also told you that I wouldn't even graduate. But look, I'm about to. I'm even continuing my education. I will be continuing my education at Grace College, majoring in criminal justice, with the hopes of returning home and one day in a school to be there for kids who are feeling alone but just need a reminder that they are not. So if I had to pick 3 things that I've learned from all of this, it would be, number 1, family is not blood. It's the people who want you for who you are. It's the people who accept you into their life. It's the ones who want to see you smile and succeed. And it's also the people who love you no matter what. My second thing would be, you can do anything, but you have to have a positive mindset to do it. My third thing would be, you're not alone. Nobody's alone, and there's all kinds of people that want to hear you, They want to hear your story. Now, I will leave you with this quote. I was once told by an older gentleman who went to my church, "Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit." Thank you.
Thank you, Genesis. Our next speaker is Desire Buckhannon. Desire is a sixth grader at the Art Leadership Center, and her story of strength is titled Back to My Reality.
My life has got me confused. I don't know what to choose. I'm mentally in pain, so stressed and strained, I'm drained. Like an old man without a cane, I need balance to maintain. To go left or right brain. Good evening, my name is Desire Buckhannon. I'm the daughter of Unique Fields and Charles Buckhannon. I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I am a 7th grade student at the ALC, our Leadership Center, and I aspire to be a vocal therapist. Even if the major influences in your life are leading you astray, it's up to you to make the right decisions and remain in control of your own destiny. My personal story of strength is how I overcome adversity in my environment. Everybody in my life seems to be comfortable with the adversity and disorder that is in the world today. My family and friends pulling me in one direction, while my heart is pulling me in another. I noticed that when I follow the lead of my family and friends, I tend to be accepted and supported when it is unhealthy. I also noticed that when I follow my own heart to do what is right, I lack the same support. This evening, I will be talking about environmental adversity, how I feel from interacting with it, and how I overcome. Is the black pot the kettle? Confusion is of the devil. It is acceptable to assimilate to chaos and settle. Yet, to be a nonconformist, you become a rebel, a sellout. What is this about? My soul tormented from the adversity, from the expectations of those close to me. But what do I choose? Roll with the pack and stick with the crew. Anything for likes and views? What path? What do I choose? What path, right or left? I have operationally defined environmental adversity as a person, place, or thing that has a bad influence or leads you to a destructive path or off the righteous path. There are 3 major environmental adversity factors in my life: family, friends, and school. Family is a dominant influence in my life. It is advantageous to me when they are in order and healthy, but detrimental to me when they are not. For instance, I know that relaxers are poisonous for the human body, yet I was forced to get them to my detriment. Friends are the same way. I feel forced to hang out with their friends who I think are negative. This is a challenge. School is a place where you should feel welcome, safe, and pushed to the right direction. Normally, I am faced with peer pressure and poor direction. Staying away from negativity is an obstacle. I'm friendly, filled with joy. If there's a job, I employ. I do what I must. The issues I have with friends come from broken trust. Our hearts are in 2 different places. They stab you in your back and lie to your face. We don't agree, so we can't get along. They conspire against me while I remain strong. It feels so wrong, the pain. From their lack of interest in my talent or heart, but I maintain to do great works that are state-of-the-art. Holding firm in position, I'm doing my part. I am set apart. No one to talk to or pick up the phone. Even in Rome, I feel alone. The adverse of these factors have an emotional impact on me, especially my family. With my family, it is an emotional, love, and tough connection. Sometimes I feel that I have to adhere to the disorder to be supported. Other times, I feel that I should follow my heart, even if I don't get the warmth of their support. Friends, you should feel that you can talk to them when you need, that you can be yourself and not worry. Therefore, I made real friends when I started the ALC. In 6th grade, I met a lot of negative people. Therefore, I keep my circle small. In turn, one must earn my friendship. School, it is overwhelming from the negative interactions that I have with other students. Normally, in 6th grade, I was exposed to so much drama. This is where the peer pressure began. I had to make decisions about who I hung with and who I agreed with. This was overwhelming. Nowhere to call my comfort zone. Amongst my friends, I have no place, leaving me in a dark, lonely space. I do what I must. Instead of an empty, I have a full mug. So blessed to have family to help me get out the mud. Yet, family is not always your blood. They are the ones who have digged what you have dug. Support you when you're right, correct you when you're wrong, reassure you when you're uptight. Choosing the right path is not always black and white. Balance is key. Family brings me love and pain. Even though we argue, we are always still family. I learned to accept when things don't go right, and I will always push to fulfill my mission. When it comes to friends, I let those go who are not in line with my mission. Arguing either ruins or strengthens. Those with bad intentions or characters must be allowed to go their separate ways. Without trust, friendships don't last anyways. In school, I focus on my education. I make sure I'm at the right place at the right time. I stay away from particular groups. This is a big part of me overcoming the overwhelm and peer pressure in school. When I'm feeling hype, muscles tight and ready to fight, I'm encouraged to be kind. Each night I lay down and write, helping me be relaxed and calm in the mind. Even if the major influences in your life are pushing you astray, it is up to you to make the right decisions and remain in control of your destiny. This evening, I had the opportunity to discuss environmental adversity, how I feel from the interactions with it, and how I overcome. When I'm feeling damaged and bruised, I keep working hard and overcome. I will push myself to make my family proud. I will walk the narrow path, not the way of the crowd. The time is near, no, the time is now. It is time to bow. I can't let them down, and I won't let you down.
Thank you, Desire. Our next speaker this evening is Henry Klopsch. Henry is a 7th grader at St. Peter's Lutheran School, and his story of strength is titled, My Superpower, ADHD.
Everyone dreams about having a superpower. My superpower is ADHD. My name's Henry Klopsch, and I was diagnosed with ADHD in 5th grade. Most people think ADHD is not a disability, but it's not. It's not a handicap, it's a gift. I use my gift ADHD to inspire others to do great things and to help the world. Having ADHD means I'm not shy and I usually have lots of energy. Ways you can adapt to ADHD is with medication, and you also usually have to work harder to obtain relationships, as most people identify you as annoying because like you hum and tap and sing, and most people don't like that all the time, which is kind of weird, but you know, it happens. Sometimes I have too much energy, which makes it difficult for me to concentrate and also for others. Usually organization is challenging with ADHD and period because that's me. I'm distracting to classmates with ADHD because I hum, sing, tap, and I just look distracting as well, so that doesn't help either. Some other positives is I'm not shy or easily embarrassed. My mom embarrasses me usually, so I'm kind of used to it now. I'm usually the class clown, so I usually laugh at myself, only when the jokes are funny though, which is usually all the time. My teachers say I'm charismatic, but I'm not sure what that means, so maybe at the end of the show you guys can tell me. My summary for today is that ADHD is not something that defines me. It's something that helps me be the person I am. It's okay to use your gifts and talents to help others, even if you're not okay with doing it. Yeah. My superpower is ADHD. What's yours? But before you guys leave, I have a joke. So, what did the Dorito farmer say to the other Dorito farmer? Cool ranch, dude.
Thank you, Henry. Our final speaker before our short intermission this evening is Deandre Hawkins. Deandre is a freshman at Cornerstone High School, and his story of strength is titled Pain to Power to Purpose.
A lisp, being loved, losing love, an ideal home, acceptance, forgive, let go, and most importantly, let God. Hello, my name is Deandre Hawkins, and today I want to talk to you about my 3 Ps. All of these things that I have listed for you are things that I had to learn, cope with, and become one with at a very young age. Today I will discuss with you my pain, my power, and my passion. My pain. My pain begins in my childhood, losing my parents. I lost my mother due to some mistakes that she had made. And with those mistakes, it cost me and my brother to have to go live with my father. I lived with my father for, I would say, a year and a half maybe, and he had made some mistakes, and those mistakes had caused me and my brother to live in the system. And living in the system wasn't easy. I don't wish that on anybody. You know, having to lose your parents is not fun. It's not something that at a young age, you know, as a kid, I didn't know, like, where's my mom? Where's my dad? Or where will I lay my head at, you know, that next night, living in the system, you know? I didn't know what I was going to eat and how I was going to live. But I say all that to say, through me losing my parents and having to live in the system, I gained my parents. I'm going to say that again. I said, through me losing my parents and having to live in the system, I gained my parents. That brings us to my power, and I like this part. It gets good. It gets good. My living situation had changed. I had gained parents who loved me, and when the police had came from my father's house to get me and my brother and take us to my parents' house. I was confused. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. But the good thing was that I got to go to a family member's house. The good thing was that I got to go to a family member's house, my aunt and my uncle. And just through me living with them and I believe this is the 10th year, so can everybody clap their hands. It's the 10th year that I live with them, 10th year. And just my living situation had changed. My mindset on life had changed. I was able to go to a school that has changed me into the person that I am today, and my parents helped with that development, just changing my mindset. And a couple years after living with them, I got adopted. And the adoption process really gave me a second chance at life. It told me no matter what you go through, God has you for one, and he will always place somebody in your life to be that light. And so through my pain and through my power, there has been one thing that has been consistent, and that is my passion. My passion is music. I love music. I love to sing. I love to dance. I love to rap. I just love everything about music. And I believe that music is not just something that I do, but music is who I am. I'm going to say that again. I said I believe music is not something that I do, but music is who I am. Music is my escape. It allows me to escape from reality and really just live in the moment. In closing, today I have discussed with you my pain, my power, and most importantly, my passion. Thank you. Wait. I gotta show you my passion. Let's go. Yeah. All right, y'all like this? Let's go. Yes, sir. All right. Look, I feel the pain that turns into power, and I'm losing strength, so my faith is getting stronger. I see the light that's germination to seeds, and now I grow like king, living a dream. And look, I'm never going back, and never second guess, son. And when I lift my hands to Jesus, that's a double blessed, son. Oh, now I'm reminiscing. Lost my parents, listen, but that's not my fault. I gotta keep on living. But Lord, I forgive them. It's time to make a difference. Everybody was doubting because they could not see the vision. My eyes on the prize, sight is 20/20 vision. Never backing down. Like Shaq, I'm finna attack. Oh yeah, I'm going hard. Just call me Bron in the finals cause I'm furious. And yeah, I'm on a mission to save souls and generations in need, so I can give glory, do it all for the King. Cause look, my life is not my own, said I'm a sacrifice. So through the pain and the heartache, gotta live my life. Cause there were times that I thought about just giving up, but then I thought about my God because he's done enough. And so I stay up on my grind and keep my head high. I find the strength to look up my dreams to the sky. Just like an eagle, find my wings, then I learn to fly. But I will never fly if it's not the right time. I feel my pain, I feel my pain, it's about to change. I feel my pain, I feel my pain, it's about to clap. I feel my pain, I feel my pain, it's about to change. I feel my pain, pain is about to change. I feel my pain, I feel my pain, it's about to change. I said my pain finna change right now, yeah. Let's go. Let's go. So if I drink from this water, he said I never thirst. But I've been looking for water that'll come and clean the dirt. Cause I was feeling so dirty, I was stuck in my mess. Surrounded by people who made me feel like I was less. Deep down inside, I always felt like that I was blessed. But trying to hide it because I was scared to be my best. Afraid of people and what I thought they were gonna say. So I pushed off tomorrow, what could be done today. I feel the pain of the past, it carries burners on my heart. Cause I was looking for love, but love found me from the start. I was feeling so lonely, felt like nobody was there, but love came and he molded me and showed me that he cared. Now weeping may endure for this night, but joy cometh in the morning. I won't live with strife, and I got my head up to the Most High. He changed my life, he wrote my wrongs, he made them right, and now I see the light, just like a star, yeah, I shine so bright, and transformation takes place at the times that I write, so look.
We will now resume our program this evening. Before we begin, we just want to remind you of our housekeeping rules. Please take out your cell phones. Please take a moment to silence your cell phone. If you're not sure how to silence them, then we ask you that you turn them off until all the speakers are finished. This is very important because we don't want to distract from any of the students' stories. If you need to use the restroom or leave for any reason, we ask that you wait until the next speaker is completely finished. Please do not re-enter the Performance Center until the next speaker is complete. Please do not use any flash photography. We have professional photographers and videographers here tonight, and you will have complete access to pictures and videos of your child. The stories that you will hear today are amazing and powerful. However, we ask that you hold your applause and any verbal acknowledgments until after the speaker is completely finished. Thank you. Our next speaker this evening is Admira Mustadonage. Admira is a freshman at Northside High School, and her story of strength is titled, "Being Yourself is the Best Way to Live."
Hi, guys. Okay, I want you to picture this. It's a 7th period Spanish class. Everyone is sitting and listening to a boring but important lesson about stem changers. I, like everyone else, was paying attention when suddenly I got thirsty. I got some water, and then I felt the urge to burp. And my body isn't really the type that can hold in a burp, so I let it out. Expecting nothing to come from it, I lightly said, "Excuse me," then moved on. But that was not the end of it. Out of nowhere, I was the center of attention, and everyone, including my teacher, was staring at me. With disappointment in his eyes, he just shook his head and continued teaching. I was confused. Why was I put on the spot for being a human? Can anyone here honestly say that they have never burped? No. You can't, because it's natural and everyone does it, especially my dad. So, yeah, I was confused. I didn't really understand why I was put on the spot for being a human. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really that embarrassed. I didn't see why I should have been. After class, my friend approached me, and she told me how bad she felt because of how embarrassing that must have been. I just didn't see it. Do you care about what other people think? You don't have to say it out loud, but don't lie to yourself. Everyone always says that you shouldn't care about what others have to say. But when it comes so naturally, it's hard to do something and not even be a little bit scared about what somebody else is going to think. But that's the world that we live in. It's unfortunate, but we can overcome it. We can all be accepted for who we are, but it starts from within. I was once a person who cared way too much about what others thought. I was always trying to fit in and be just like everyone else, to conform with people who I didn't even like that much to begin with. At a young age, I took a step back, and I thought for a second, why the other kids just didn't like me? Why was I always the one no one talked to? Why was I always so different? You could say it was because I was unique, maybe a little bit too young for everybody else, or maybe I was even antisocial. But the truth that took me way too long to discover, was that I was just being myself. I wasn't trying to conform, I wasn't trying to change, but when that got me fewer friends and some self-esteem issues, I then tried to conform, and I ignored all the negativity that came from not being authentic. But that did not work out for me, and it wasn't until 7th grade when I realized that an original me was so much more valuable than a copy of someone else. If you are different from a group of people, embrace it. Why would anyone want to be just like everyone else? It's so boring. I was only trying to change myself because I wanted people to talk to. I wanted friends. The issue was that I was trying to talk to and befriend all the wrong people. If someone doesn't like you for you, then they shouldn't be your friend. Who cares if no one likes you? As long as you like yourself, I don't see the problem. Eventually, you will find friends. No, you're not the problem. No one is. Some people just aren't meant to be friends, and that's okay. To not conform and be set apart from a group of people can be intimidating and very scary. Scary because you don't have anyone to latch onto. Being your own person, marching to the beat of your own drum, and being a leader is hard. You can't be afraid to make mistakes or be vulnerable. But life was a gift given to you. Love that gift. Enjoy that gift. Accept that gift. But most importantly, take advantage of that gift. A wise man once said, "The thief of joy is comparison." So be your own person, and don't let others' negativity or opinions affect you or your mindset. Therefore, wear what you want to wear, do the things you want to do, and think the way you want to think. We are not humans experiencing life. We are life experiencing humans. You were made to love. You were made to enjoy. And you were made because you have a purpose. Now, not everyone directly knows their purpose, but trust me, it is there. And soon enough, you will see it and recognize it and be so happy that you chose to act on it. When COVID struck, I was taken away from the best year of my very short life. I had a great school that taught me so much more than academics. I had a great amount of friends who loved me for me. And I was also taken away from my main source of happiness, people. As a person, we all have things that make us happy. Some like to go bowling, some like to go dancing, others like to go fishing, but my happiness came from others. Helping make people happy and seeing smiles on faces from jokes that I cracked made life worth living. I knew that being myself was the best way to go about life, and I think that everyone should do the same. If you are nervous, shy, or unsure, just do it, whatever it may be, and see what happens. In life, you can either take a chance and see what comes from it, or you can be left constantly wondering, what if? Life goes on, so don't be afraid to burp or lose people who don't make you happy. People often trust that life is so long and so eventful, but not a single person is promised a tomorrow. So live each day to its fullest and make decisions that make you happy. It is not your job to please everyone. And if anything, remember what I'm about to tell you. Happiness comes from truth and excitement, even if that excitement is the flip side of fear. So if you are truly being yourself, surrounded by people who love you for you, and constantly doing the types of things that make life exciting, you will be the purest of happy that there ever was. Thank you.
Thank you, Adma. Our next speaker is Aubrey Stotler. Aubrey is a sophomore at Churubusco High School, and her story of strength is titled, "Why She Stayed, Why She Left."
You can't leave. Many people hear statements of why they cannot leave an abusive relationship. Things that make them stay. Things like, you can't leave, you need me. Or, you can't leave, I'm the best you'll ever get. Or, you can't leave, because without me, you're nobody. Around 60% of the human population stays in their abusive relationships. This is because when you're in a relationship like so, your self-love deteriorates. Many people love others more than they love themselves. When I say many people, this includes me. Around age 11, I met a girl, soon to be my BFF, best friend forever, only to find that the forever was not forever, and I was going to have to be the one to end the forever. There were times where all we did was fight, but I was always the one to apologize. There were times where if I didn't answer the phone within 2 minutes, she would lose her temper. Now, I'm not going to lie, there were times where she was annoying me and I'd lose my temper. Fair enough, there are two sides to every story. You may be thinking that's not an abusive relationship, but I want you to keep in mind abuse comes in 3 ways: physical, verbal, and emotional. Toxicity and abuse can occur in any relationship between lovers, parents, children, coworkers, friends, and siblings. For me, it was a friend. You may be thinking fighting is just what happens with friends sometimes, but it quickly got to a time where I was no longer allowed to have other friends, where she controlled what I was allowed to do and who I was. We became on and off friends constantly, and many people realize that when that occurs in a relationship, it makes a harder time for a real ending. It brings loads of untrustworthiness, denial, and manipulation. It first started with lies, having to tell her lies just to get some alone time. I'd say things like, I'm babysitting, or I have homework, and sure enough, she'd come to my house and make sure I was actually busy. And then got to a time of denial, where I'd ask for an apology from her, and she would respond in denial, saying she never said or did those things. It then got to a time of manipulation, where I'd ask for an ending to the relationship forever, and she would deny that request. She later threatened to kill herself if I left. At this time, she controlled who I hung out with, who I was, and the pure thought in my mind of, I could never leave. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to bring attention to adults. I truly did care for her. I did not want her or anyone else leaving this earth because of me. I felt like it was all my fault. I was the reason everything was going wrong. After all the manipulation, denial, and broken trust, I was so overthrilled just to see her alive and walking the next day. When I had brought attention to adults, it made it progressively worse and better. I had to watch her cry as I left, still not knowing if she was going to stay safe. So when I say I was overthrilled to see her the next day, I really was. I noticed she wouldn't show her hurt, instead revert back to saying things like, she was the reason the friendship ended. She didn't like me anyways, and she didn't want me. Now that's okay, I won't be stingy, but it didn't bring a pretty path for me. For months down the hallways, I was made fun of, silenced, or simply looked at weird. I felt all alone, especially because she was my only friend. I learned 2 things from this. 1, you can't change someone who doesn't see an issue in their actions. And 2, it is not the bruises on the body that hurt. It is the wounds of the heart and the scars on the mind. All I could truly see is that I shattered her heart, which truly broke mine. But it takes time, but your self-love goes from deteriorated to an all-time high. Experiences like this always strengthen you, me, and everyone in between. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey. Our next speaker is William Clinkenbeard. William is a 7th grader at St. Peter's Lutheran School, and his story of strength is titled Helping Others.
Hello, my name is William Clinkenbeard, as you may already know. And I just wanted to point out the fact that sometimes helping people can be fun and it can also lead to good times. That is something I learned at a day not so long ago and at a place not so far away. One time my cousin was raising money for LLS and blood cancer treatment. Because I wanted to help, I assisted him and his 2 friends in being servers there at his auction. One day I was at my house doing something I can't remember, and my mom came in and told me about him raising money. After she told me about it and its benefits, roughly 30 people showed up to bid on purses and raise money. So every 20 minutes or so, I came out from the back room and delivered these mini sandwiches or delicious meatballs to everyone who wanted one. I definitely didn't have any, just in case you were wondering. So when the auction was halfway through, I talked to some of my aunt's friends who were there, and I also talked to my grandma, and she told me a few stories. So after the 30th story was over, I felt that my goal was accomplished, and I had done what I came there to do. Now you might be thinking, but Will, I can't do that. Well, you don't have to be a server at an auction to help people. You can help organize or set up an event. If you don't want to donate time, then donate resources. Property, equipment, or money will do just fine. If you don't want to donate some supplies, some motivation will go a long way, whether it's a simple phone call or a letter. If you're asking, who do I help, then I'll tell you. I help my cousin because he's family, of course. But you can help anyone who you have a positive relationship to, whether it's like me, a family member, or a friend. If you want to do more than help someone run one, then start your own. My cousin raised money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. You can too. Another example would be the Ronald McDonald House, or even your church. If you have no motive to do it, here's why I help my cousin. He's family. But you can help anyone you want because God has put us all on this earth to help other people. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Our next speaker is Matana Land. Matana is a sophomore at Northside High School, and her story of strength is titled Fear of Speaking.
One of the most common fears is public speaking. In fact, an article was published by Dr. Stephen Gons that says it is estimated about 77% of the population has some level of anxiety regarding public speaking. Hello, my name is Matana Land. I'm the daughter of James Land and Heather Dombrowski. I'm a student leader at the Art Leadership Center, and I aspire to be a therapist, and I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And today, the goal of my speech is to try and inspire you to go beyond your comfort zone. Getting out of that comfort zone for me meant conquering my fear of public speaking. Today, I will tell you how schools increased my fear, how I redefined and overcame, and the tools that it took for me to overcome this fear, or should I say, false evidence appearing real. My 5th grade year, we had to sit at these tables. I had to share my table with 2 boys. And they would take my glasses off of my desk and hide them during recess. After a couple months of this happening, I came home without my glasses. My stepmother asked me where my glasses were, and unfortunately, I couldn't show her that I had them because they were somewhere in the classroom at school. So she tells me to tell the teacher. The next day I do, and he tells me to go sit back down. But they kept hiding my glasses. So this time, I tell my older sister, Sabrina. She takes it upon herself to tell Mom. This time, my stepmother was furious that the teacher didn't do anything and decides to call the teacher herself. The next day, when I walk into class and sit down, the teacher calls me out to the hallway. The situation made me want to cry because I was being watched by other students, but not wanting to embarrass myself further, I held it in. Once we get out to the hallway, the teacher tells me to stop being dramatic because it's just boys being boys. But when I go sit back down, the boys tell me they were just playing, but continued to hide my glasses. I let it go at this point. Obviously, they weren't going to quit. The DSM-4 states that anxiety is caused by an excessive fear of a certain object or situation. I would like to operationally define fear as false evidence appearing real, anticipating an undesirable outcome. When most people hear that they have a disorder, they automatically believe that they are that diagnosis. If you tell a child that they have social anxiety, they just simply believe they have a disorder. They don't fully understand what this means, but they begin to take on everything that comes with that label. But they also understand that no one is helping them with the fact that they are simply afraid. Never knowing how to get over this fear, it created a theoretical glass box. Lucky for me, I got out of this box by being led to a gateway. My 7th grade year, I would observe my sisters practicing step at the ALC, also known as the Art Leadership Center. And one day they came home and they were talking about the practice they had just participated in. And I made a joke about how I was too shy to do it. My stepmom tells me, "Matana, you should join." I never in a million years had thought about joining, yet within the next couple of days, there I was, standing next to my sisters at practice. Then me getting out of that theoretical glass box commenced. I started learning the fundamentals of stepping, eventually full routines. I then made the jump at performing at one of my first shows, although I stood in the back corner of the stage. But before I knew it, one show became several, and one location became many. Eventually, we started chanting in our shows. Soon after, we began stepping up one by one and introducing ourselves. Eventually, I was performing one of my poems in front of a crowd. I started to get more confident, and I even started to get straight A's in school. It is also crucial to consider the tools that it took for me to gain this confidence and courage. Having a supporting stepmother was crucial. Being exposed to certain activities, like performing on a stage, and seeing familiar faces like my sisters laid down the concrete foundation. There was also the ALC instructor that shined the light to the pathway out of that glass box. There was also certain things I did myself, like I would work out, practice breathing exercises, and meditate to relieve unnecessary stress. I would also practice looking people in the eyes because it makes you feel more confident and it's just good manners as well. I would also practice speaking up when talking. Usually I'm mumbling or whispering, yet I feel like I'm yelling because of my fear of interrupting people or just not feeling confident in what I'm saying. Today I've shared with you how I conquered my fear of public speaking, stepping out of my comfort zone. I have shared with you how schools increased my fear, how I overcame and redefined, and the tools that it took for me to overcome this fear. But now I have a question for you. What would you do if a child is afraid of the dark? You would teach them that there's nothing to be afraid of, right? So why didn't public schools do this for me when I was afraid to speak? Leave me imprisoned within my own mind. But now I may confidently say, it was always just fear, false evidence appearing real.
Thank you, Matana. Our next speaker this evening is Meilani Dial. Meilani is a freshman at East Allen University, and her story of strength is titled The Road to Success.
Defeat, limitations. These are things that we all struggle with. Even I struggled with in the elementary school. Now, I want you to picture this. Being smaller than the rest of your class, had a disease that's not curable yet, and had so much determination to do this one simple little thing. Now, I have sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is where your red blood cells are shaped like sickles. And sometimes when they go through your veins, they get stuck, which causes the pain. Now I'm going to tell you a story of when I had defeat and limitations. Now, back in the 5th grade, my school needed help with moving these big chairs to the gym. So I'm like, okay, they asked the class. I'm like, sure, I got this. So I start dragging the chair down the ramp, and other kids are racing with the chairs, holding them over their heads, doing leapfrog, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm over here just walking super slow, dragging the chair down the ramp. So these upperclassmen, middle schoolers, they're like, hey, you need some help? I'm like, no, I got it, because I wanted to prove that I could do the same things as everybody else could. So, I finally got down the ramp, I'm in the hallway. I was like, hey, you need help? I'm like, no, I got it. But they asked me again, and I said, okay, now you just take the chair. I'm going to go back to class. So, to be honest with you, I did need help with the chair. Did I want it? No. Now, this made me feel defeated because everybody was doing it so much better than me, having a great time, and I'm over here struggling. So that wasn't really what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to tell you what I did to overcome challenges in my life. That I had to realize that it's okay to ask for help. Now, you may not always want it, but it's okay to ask for help. And secondly, that even though I had these limitations, all I had to do was think of a way that I could do this. Now, one of my limitations that I have with sickle cell anemia, of course, is with the pool. Now, with the pool, you have to be 80 degrees, it has to be hot outside. Personally, I have to wear a bodysuit. It's black, and I don't really like it. I'd rather wear my Calvin Klein. It's neon pink, and it's super pretty. And as you can see, I'm very fashionable. Like, come on. Very fashionable. And if you don't, and I'm going to conclude you with this. If you don't remember anything else from my speech, I want you to remember this. We all have limitations, but we can't let that stop us from what we like to do. And secondly, that if you have a disease, a disability, or any limits or challenges you may have in your life, that all you have to do is figure a way to do it. It may be asking for help, going to a neighbor, praying, whatever you like to do. And with these things, you can do to live a happy and successful life. Thank you.
Thank you, Meilani. Our next speaker this evening is Amanda Dombrowski. Amanda is a freshman at the Art Leadership Center, and her story of strength is titled, Overcoming the Thoughts of the Masses.
Fat and ugly. These were the words used to describe me to lower my self-esteem. Sadness, anger, worthlessness. These are the emotions that described how I and countless others have felt after being bullied. Let's assess the room. Raise your hand, raise them high, if you have ever been bullied. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, in a study between children ages 12 through 18, about 20.2% admitted to being bullied at school. Now raise your hand if you ever witnessed someone else being bullied. According to StopBullying.gov, if bystanders stepped in, more than half of all kids being bullied would be spared a harmful experience. Hello. My name is Amanda Dombrowski. I'm the daughter of Heather Dombrowski and Walt Dombrowski. I am a 9th grade student at the Art Leadership Center, and I aspire to be a nurse from Fort Wayne, Indiana. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, bullying is a noun and is defined as abuse and mistreatment of someone vulnerable by someone stronger. You're not alone. Bullying does not make you weak. With the proper tools, it makes you even stronger. Being mistreated in my vulnerable state has brought me to where I am today. Look at me now. This evening, I'll be discussing my experience on how the bullying happened, how it made me feel, and how I overcame. So, how does this thing called bullying begin to occur with? First, I would like to operationally define bullying. It is to damage someone's vision of self-worth while in a vulnerable position. Some say that those who do the abusing have been abused themselves in some way, usually in the home. They, in turn, want their victim to experience the same pain that they've gone through in the way it was inflicted on them. But little do they know, these jokes have the potential to scar someone for the rest of their lives. The more someone is bullied, the more closed off and asocial they become. This is exactly how my bullies made me feel. Being attacked left me feeling like a victim, and I was a victim. Words being used against me in the worst way. Words I wouldn't dare direct towards someone else. I would hear them say things like, "It's your fault that you're fat," or "You're not washing your face right." I began to wonder, was I doing it wrong? But they knew nothing about my personal life or my hygiene. So the pain from their harsh words carried more weight than their words of wisdom. Now, I would like to share with you a time when I was mistreated. This one girl was making fun of the way I did my hair. But the interesting part is, the next day, she had hers the same exact way. How could you belittle what I do and then do the same? This one particular girl, along with many others, would comment about how I looked, what I wore, and even how I talked. One day, I saw and heard this. "Ew, look at her. She's so fat she needs 2 chairs. When I first heard the words fat and ugly, I was unaware of how these words could affect me so much. Bullying can really influence your confidence and your feelings. It affected my self-esteem and self-efficacy. This caused a change in the outlook on my physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of my life. Hearing words like fat and ugly can severely damage your self-worth. They brutally affected me. I stopped eating as much. I tried my best to fit in and lay low. At first, I would believe their every word. Because I was eating less, I started to feel weak and lose motivation for everyday tasks. I soon discovered that this would not help me fit in, but it also led me to know who my true friends were. One day, I was in class, and we were receiving our tests back from being graded. An old friend was in class with me, and she had received a higher grade. She turned to me and had the audacity to say, "Oh my God, how did you get that wrong? That was so easy. You're so retarded and stupid." I told her that not everyone would have the same answers. Valuing this friend so highly, I thought to myself, am I stupid? This made me feel irrelevant. Was eating less not working? Am I still doing things wrong? Spirituality deals with your beliefs, the foundational beliefs you have instilled in yourself, religious beliefs, and the belief you have in your family. I remember during these perilous times, my mom would always tell me that I should ignore other people's opinions, and that I should avoid people who talk about me in a negative way. At first, I listened to what my mom was saying, but when the bullying started to become consistent, I started listening to my attackers more. Their words were attacks on my foundational beliefs. It was as if it penetrated my spiritual armor. I would go to school expecting to be bullied, but not everyone will look the same, talk the same, or have the same ideals. We all have our own unique imperfections. Although I've talked about all the negative things that I've gone through, I've learned to overcome the adversity of bullying. I'm my own person, and will always be my own person. I'm better now that I've blocked out all the negative energy. I always remind myself that I have many things going for me in the future. I work hard to stay positive. I always read empowering quotes to keep myself going. Relatively recently, someone was talking about my attire, and I just stood there and laughed a bit, sort of as a comedic relief. I no longer allow others to influence me the way they were once able to. Life is about a knowledge of self, not other people's opinions. It's about your perspective and knowing how you interact with the outside world. To feel good about yourself, you must have a constructive outlook on life. You must push yourself to the next level, even though you may be uncomfortable. And remember to always guard the gates to your mind, because negative thoughts are like wild monsters that trample over your soul. If you have faith in yourself, you can persevere without hesitation. But there will always be people who try to stand in your way. Fat and ugly. These were words used to describe me to lower my self-esteem. Sadness, anger, worthlessness. These are emotions that described how I and countless others have felt after being bullied. Again, you're not alone. Bullying does not make you weak. With the proper tools, it makes you even stronger. Being mistreated in my vulnerable state has brought me to where I am today. Look at me now. This evening, I have discussed my experience on how the bullying happened, how it made me feel, and how I overcame. Now, I'll leave you with some inspiration by Martin Luther King Jr. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Our next speaker is Kendenai Kokanai. KK is a junior at Carroll High School, and her story of strength is titled Strength and Hope.
With the benefits of everything opening up, a few weeks ago I was able to get my physical checkup. And as I went through the mundane task of hopping on one foot and walking backwards, my doctor asked me to do the simple task of putting my arms on my shoulders just like this and resist the urge to let them fall as he applied pressure to them. Initially I was like, this is easy, I got the guns for this. But as he continued to push and push, I felt my arms fail on me. And this totally challenged the idea of strength I had within myself. We're put in these positions in life where we are challenged, and our ideas of strength may not be what we thought at first. But what is strength? Well, Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines strength as the state of being strong, capacity for exertion or endurance. And to be quite honest with you today, While preparing for my story of strength, I didn't feel like I had endured enough to be able to share with you an inspiring, life-altering, potential award-winning story of strength. But as I continued to think and try to reinvent my story into something that it was not, I realized the fact that I am here is strength in itself. The fact that you are here is strength in itself. Today, we've all conquered something to get to this point in life, and whether that was traffic or finding a fabulous outfit, whatever it was, we did it, and we're here. And to start the story I share with you today at the moment of my birth would be a true disservice to the story I am just writing a chapter of. To give you some background, in 1994, my mom came to America with her parents. Her story is full of fear, confusion, anger, injustice, excitement, but also hope. The hope is what brought them through, brought my parents together, and me here. I consider my parents and my grandparents the strongest people I know, but to be honest, I didn't always see it that way. Growing up in my classes, I was one of the only people of color, if not the only person of color in my classes. I would go to school and I would get made fun of for being Asian. At home, I was raised to know and to embrace the beautiful culture and language and food. But at school, I was made fun of. And I remember this one time I was at school and these kids would come up to me and they would put 2 fingers at the side of their temples like this, raise it, and recite a popular slur that mocked the sounds of Eastern Asian languages. When I'd moved houses and I went to a new elementary school, I remember one of my teachers interrupting class to ask me what my nationality was. And when I responded that I was American and indeed born in America, she said, "No, what's your actual nationality? Are you Chinese or Cambodian?" And to this, I realized she was asking what my ethnicity was, as well as presuming that I could only be Chinese or Cambodian. These are just a few of my experiences. And while I wasn't physically harmed, it was hard for me as a human being with feelings, a woman developing self-esteem, as well as an Asian American finding her identity. And with everything that I endured, I realized that I was more than that. And there are certain things that I want to share with you today because I think we've all felt either alone, unfit for society's mold, wrong for something we can't control, or just simply different. And something that I have picked up from others is that it's okay to be vulnerable. I have benefited from the age of media and being able to relate to certain influencers who share the same experiences as me. Finding representation completely changed the way I saw myself and my potential. Please, be vulnerable. There is strength in sharing your weaknesses. And something I failed to do was to cut the problem off at the root. Some of the kids who made fun of me really didn't know any better. But by not standing up and speaking out, I gave into the lie that I would never be comfortable with who I was. Please speak out. There is strength in standing up for the truth. Another thing is to be intentional. When our words and our actions are purposeful, they are impactful. Isn't it crazy that our tongues hold both the power of life and death? Speak life when you can. There is strength in choosing joy. And one last thing is to have faith. I truly believe that God's hand is always at work, whether we want to realize that or not. And when we recognize that, there is such strength. There is such power. Please know that you are capable of so much. There is strength in believing. And today, when we exit this room, we enter a world that is scary, but it is also wonderful. And so please choose to believe, please choose to be vulnerable, and share your truth. Thank you.
Thank you, KK. Our final speaker this evening is Morgan Moer. Morgan is a 7th grader at St. Peter's Lutheran School, and her story of strength is titled, Why Me?
Why me? These 2 words went through my head all the time during treatment for leukemia.
I would wonder myself if I did something wrong to get cancer. And the truth is, I don't know. It tore me down inside, not just physically, but also mentally. When I started my treatment, I started feeling all this love headed my way. Gifts, meals, notes, you name it. But even though I was loved by so many wonderful people, all I wanted to be was a normal kid. But from the moment where I was diagnosed, nothing in my life was normal. The first couple of months of treatment were really hard. Not just from the chemo, but being separated from my friends and family. Because I had to isolate myself from everyone for months. But I got so mad when I finally got to be able to go out into public, and people would look at me differently, like I was just some little sick girl with no hair. But some of the best times during my treatment was when I felt good enough to go into my class just for an hour. It would brighten up my whole day. But I can just remember it was spring break time, and I started writing these hate notes because I couldn't go on spring break with my whole family. I would write how unfair my life was, and then came a note that said, "Why me?" I remember this question going through my head all the time, but then I would ask myself this question: why would God want me to go through all of this? Like, why me? To test my faith, to share my story? I don't know, because there's so much in my life where my cancer story will impact my life. The first wonderful thing that happened during my treatment was my dog Stella. I got her on my 10th birthday, and my parents didn't know about her. My aunts and my grandma bought her for me, and it was a huge surprise. But the day after my birthday, I went into the hospital for 17 days with pancreatitis. I wouldn't speak or interact with anyone. So my doctor asked my mom what would make me happy, and she said my dog. And she would put a smile on my face anytime I saw her. And yeah. Another positive thing was being asked to be a part of the LLS, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I was asked to be the honored hero for the teenagers who ran for the campaigns to raise money, and the Girl of the Year for the adults who ran to raise money. I was asked to share my story and just be there for questions, what they were raising money for. Once again, the support of my family and the community continued to push me during my 2.5 years of treatment. I think the point that I'm trying to get at is that you can try to go through all the hard things in your life alone, but with your friends and family right there by your side, that was late, sorry guys. It's amazing how much they really impact your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. What an amazing group of students. Speakers, can you please come back to the stage so that we can applaud you for your amazing courage and strength tonight?
Okay, let's give our amazing students one more awesome round of applause. Oh yes, standing ovation. Woo! Yes, take a bow. Please take a bow. Or a curtsy, or whatever you want to do. I just want you to know the amount of time and effort that these students put in. It's so much time, so much effort. What you saw up here was phenomenal. I'm so proud of you guys. But they have worked so hard for the past 2 to 3 months and just putting not only their application together to apply for TeenSpeak, but then also, of course, their whole talk and everything else. And then to come up here, they have heard me say this 1,000 times. Most adults would never do what they just did. True? Yes. So we are so proud of them. So let's give them one more round of applause, and then you guys can go off. Go ahead. So this evening would not have been possible without each of you. Your support for these students, of course, is undeniable. We personally want to thank you for coming and for watching online. As mentioned earlier, this event is put together through the efforts of the Brandon Foundation and the Respect Team. Both of our organizations have been affected by COVID this year, financially and in other areas as well. And we just believe in the power of people. And so if you look inside your program, you will see a sponsorship card. If you are with a business and you would like to become a sponsor of TeenSpeak, or if you are just a personal individual person that you would like to become a sponsor of TeenSpeak, we would love for you to fill out the portions on that card. Every little bit helps our organization and allows us to do TeenSpeak each year. At the dessert reception, there will be a TeenSpeak table with envelopes that you can use for your sponsorship card. We also want to tell the live stream people, you can also donate to TeenSpeak by going to the Eventbrite link where you have purchased your live stream ticket, and you can just choose the donation option. So we just want to thank you for investing in our teenagers, and thank you for supporting, of course, both of our organizations.
Yeah. We believe that our students didn't just get up here tonight and tell us their stories for just them. What they did was they inspire us to do the same. We believe that everyone has a story of struggle, and everyone has a story of strength, a story of pain, but also of perseverance. And so as we conclude, I'd like to share a poem that embodies the vision of this event. And it's titled The Manifesto of the Brave and Brokenhearted by Brené Brown. There's no greater threat to the critics and cynics and fearmongers than those of us who are willing to fall. Because we have learned how to rise. With skinned knees and bruised hearts, we choose owning our stories of struggle. Over hiding, over hustling, over pretending. When we deny our stories, they define us. And when we run from struggle, we are never free. So we turn towards truth and we look it in the eye. You see, we will not be characters in our own stories, not villains, not victims, not even heroes. No, we are the authors of our own lives. We write our daring endings, and we craft love from heartache and compassion from shame, and grace from disappointment, courage from failure. Because showing up is our power, and story is our way home, and truth is our song. Because we are the brave and brokenhearted, and we are rising strong.
Ooh, yes. So we would like to applaud Elijah one more time as our host. Amazing. And we are going to let you, do you have one more thing you have to say? Okay, so we're going to let her close it out. She's like, yes, get off of my stage. Okay, here you go.
Tonight you've heard some amazing stories of strength. We have taught our students that when they are able to use their stories to strengthen themselves and others, their pain no longer has a hold on them because their pain now has a greater purpose. Our hope is that you leave here tonight feeling encouraged to use your story for a greater purpose and that you use your story to strengthen yourself and others. We also want to encourage you to join us for a meet and greet dessert reception so that you can meet each of the students and thank them for the impact they made this evening. This will be right across the hall. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for supporting our youth.